Hi, my name is Jason Lauritsen. My presentation is called Unintended Consequences. In case you're wondering, the question mark was on purpose, and I think you'll see why in a little bit. Today I'd like to address another facet of the overarching ideas we learned in our reading of Automated Inequality and Blind Spot. Specifically, I'd like to focus on the impact to African American educators resulting from the desegregation of public schools following the Brown versus Board of Education decision in 1955. The Plessy versus Ferguson Supreme Court decision in 1886 and its separate but equal doctrine interpretation of the 14th Amendment was the law of the land and resulted in segregated schools in 17 U.S. states prior to 1955. Segregated black schools were usually underfunded compared to the white schools, and often black students were forced to travel long distances to school without provided transportation. Black teachers were often paid less than white teachers in the white schools in the same district. Some of the black school buildings were crumbling, they were issued out-of-date textbooks handed down from the white schools, and often had inadequate heating and cooling systems. Despite these challenges, most of the black teachers and principals in segregated schools pre-Brown had better credentials than white educators. Although they were barred from attending Southern segregated colleges and universities, many black educators went on to earn master's and doctoral degrees through tuition scholarships. We've all seen the screaming crowds in the videos from that time period after the Brown versus Board of Ed decision. The police and sometimes even soldiers holding back the mobs behind barricades while a lone black student is escorted into a school. But I, for one, had never considered the great impact that this decision had on the many black educators of that time. Many black educators fought for integration, even with the knowledge that many of them stood to lose their jobs when parents and administrators refused to put African American educators and principals in positions of authority over white children and white teachers. When the Supreme Court ruled that racially segregated schools were unconstitutional, they did not explicitly include the teachers and principals that were also racially segregated. School boards interpreted the ruling in a way that did not allow many black teachers nor principals to keep their jobs. What I have to consider from this huge oversight is why did they not address this issue? We learned in Blind Spot that we all have unacknowledged implicit biases. Was it true even for those that fought for integration? Were they more willing to allow their children to learn alongside students of a different race than they were willing to have their own children taught by someone of a different race? Was this truly an unintended consequence, or is still a computer programming idea? I fear that it wasn't a bug, it was a feature. The true long-term consequences of this are staggering. The percentage of black educators has dropped from a high of 35 to 45% of teachers in segregated states being African American to the current level of only 7% of teachers being African American. That percentage has continued to decline, and I fear that that trend will not change. It has had an ongoing cascading effect. Most people only consider the role model portion of this, in that having a person of their own race as a role model gives students someone to emulate in their future career choices. But it goes deeper than that. Studies have shown that black students who have even one black teacher by third grade are 7% more likely to graduate high school and 13% more likely to enroll in college. Another mostly unknown statistic is the fact that overall children whose mothers were teachers were 9 percentage points or 110% more likely to become teachers than the children of mothers who were not teachers. The fewer black teachers we currently have, the greater the impact on the number of future African American teachers we will have. What can we do to change this? We cannot change the historical fact, and we can't change the impact that not having current African American teachers has on students choosing teaching as a profession. But if we can increase the rate of hire of prospective African American teachers by becoming more involved in our local school boards regarding the importance of diversity and being aware how implicit bias affects that hiring process, then eventually having teachers as role models, parents, and the increased effect on high school and college enrollment, it has the potential to help reverse this trend. Thank you very much for listening to my presentation today, and have a great day.